What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Let me say that one more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Make your next thing a big one. Speaking of entertained, today on the program, Eddie T. Who's Eddie T? You're going to find out in the next few minutes. So stick around for some Eddie T. This week's shows, I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas on Friday nights. It's my usual video dance party karaoke jam. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Pool tables. In fact, there's a pool tournament on Friday night. So if you want to make some money, try to make some money on a Friday night, you can get involved with the pool tournament. And maybe you can make some money while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to me. Yeah, you heard me. Video dance party karaoke jam. Yeah, you're the stars of the show. You get to entertain the people. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That starts at 8 p.m. Now, we are taking care of each other as this COVID thing still rides through our minds and rides, it crosses around the globe. Wear a mask on the way in the door. Wear a mask when you're interacting with people. Pretty much while you're standing up, throw the mask on. And then when you're sitting down having your drinky drinks and having some good food, you can pull it down so you can get to your talking hole, so you can get your eating hole right there. All right, that's the Rab. Friday night, 8 p.m. Be there, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. All right, let's get into it with Eddie T. Let's get into it with Eddie T. Now, I did get Eddie on Skype, and if you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version. That way you can see what Eddie looks like, and you can see all the stuff that we were talking about in his studio. And you could find out more about Eddie T on the YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDan. I think I'm getting all jumbled up. I'm excited for you to hear about a little bit more about Eddie T. So let's get into it. Let's Skype Eddie T now.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, that looks good, man. I see your equipment in the background. I see you're in your studio, Eddie T of the Eddie T Band.
Yeah, I'm at the Marty studio.
All right, well, give the people a little idea of who you are. Eddie T in the house.
My name's Eddie Tabit. That's where you get the Eddie T Band from. I'm from Davison, Michigan, and I'm a country rock artist. And I have a 3-piece band, Rock Dawson on guitar and Marty Wirth on drums, and I play bass, and I'm the lead singer.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I was looking at some of your older videos, and I saw that you play drums, and you were playing drums and singing at the same time. And I find that, I guess, was it Phil Collins used to do that in Genesis, but it kind of took away from his singing. Do you feel like when you were playing drums and singing, trying to get on the beat while you're singing a song, it was changing the way that you were singing? Or do you think you're better or worse now or different?
Well, it's funny because I think I can. Obviously, it's more versatile for me out front to maybe do something acoustically or something like that. But when I was sitting behind the drums singing, granted, it was taking more breath, but I started playing drums and lead singing when I started a band when I was 16, and it was just because we kept doing songs with no singer. And I got so sick of there being no singer. So I just hooked up a microphone and started singing just to get through the song and stuff. And then the next thing I know, for probably 15, 16 years, I was playing drums and lead singing. So it just got to where I could just throw my hands out there and they would just go on autopilot, and I could almost split the two. But we had a bass player who met a DJ that was on one of the stations we were on, and they fell in love. And he was a rock bass player anyways. He ended up he got out of the country music business and moved to Utah with her. So it was a natural progression because I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I can play like 6 different instruments. So I just jumped out front and played. It was easier to find a drummer than it was to find a bass player. And I think any musicians out there can sympathize with me on that. Bass players are always the hardest to find. So I just went ahead and just took over that position and then got a really good drummer, a guy I went to school with. And it's been great.
Man, Eddie T, let me tell you, playing any instruments, it's just, it amazes me. I have 3 guitars sitting there in the closet. I have a full piano in the other room that my 14-year-old plays. And the drums, oh my goodness, the drums has got to be one of the hardest. You got to get both hands thinking separately and at least 1 foot, probably 2 feet, because I know a lot of people do the double bass and you have the cymbals that you have to work as well. So all your limbs are working in different directions. And I mean, you've been doing that since you were a young lad in Michigan. Tell me about that. Was that the first instrument you were playing?
Well, yeah, that was my primary instrument. I went through a period of when I played in rock bands where I would just be the drummer. I was all about the drums. Every single shirt I had was a cymbal company, or I'd wear the wristbands and the bumper stickers on the truck, and the whole sitting sideways thing. It was a novelty for a minute. I mean, a lot of people, especially doing country music, seeing a guy up on stage, doing a Garth Brooks cover, and you look up on stage and he's sitting sideways in a drum kit with a cowboy hat on. It was different, and it caught people's attention. But like you say, it did limit me to what I could do on certain things. Now I could go do an acoustic part while I have my bass on, and then just run right over and play the bass line. So it's definitely been more versatile for me. But yeah, I used to do that all the time. You're running. All I can say is imagine, reciting a poem while you're jogging, because you're running in place at all times. And then I'm trying to convey this melody while I'm jogging at the same time. So, but I made it work for a lot of years. And I now that I'm a songwriter, the drums I still have a passion for the drums. They'll always be my first instrument, but now the drums have become a tool in the studio to get the song done. So, instead of just being a drummer, sometimes I wish I could go back to just being a drummer. So,
yeah, sometimes I wish I can go back to just being a DJ. Now I got to be the DJ, the MC, the guy that makes the flyers, the guy that sets up all the equipment, set up the lights, set up the speakers, set up the, make sure that the promotion is done. You got to be a whole lot more things now. But with the information age, with the technology of social media, it helps out a little bit. I mean, one of those things right here is this podcast where we get to learn a little bit more about the person behind the music. Yeah, anybody can look up Eddie T Band. Do it. Go ahead. Do it right now. I'll wait. And you can find you online, find all the music out there. But, the reason that I built this podcast is not only to promote you, but to find out for the next generation how you became who you are. You started out with drums. Who got you into the drums?
My uncle. I remember going over when I was real young, probably 6, 7 years old. I was older than that. But anyways, the John Cougar song was out, Jack and Diane. And my cousin had a drum kit, and that middle part in Jack and Diane where drums break down. Man, my cousin couldn't figure that out for the life of him. And my dad brought me over to my uncle's house one day, and I just sat down and played it. And my cousin was like, threw the sticks down. He's like, man, I've been working on that for 2 weeks. And, and I sat down, and it was like it was just natural. And, but my uncle was the one that was like, tell Eddie to sit down and see if he can figure this thing out. And that's kind of how it started. And I'm only one of two other musicians in the family. My grandfather played like 4 different instruments: accordion, piano, trumpet, violins, and then my grandma played 7 different instruments. So it's been kind of like I inherited that a little bit. And I got a cousin who is a classical guitar player, but he's got a established career and a family and everything. He's not really into music like that. He just plays for fun. But so growing up in Michigan, brutal winters, really hot summers, and playing in a band, touring around the Detroit area, the Lansing area, and then when I was doing rock, that was great. Michigan's a rock state, and we got a lot of country in this state, but going from being in a rock band to being in a country band is a big dramatic change here, because a lot of the clubs are predominantly rock clubs. So there's only about 7 or 8 clubs in Michigan that you can really showcase a country act. And there's a lot of country artists in this state, but I never really realized how many there were until I got into country. But yeah, it's that's basically how it started for me. And my guitar player grew up in California, and then he moved to Tennessee. And my drummer, me and him went to school together, so we're from the same hometown. So the 3 of us right now work really good together. The name of the band only aimed, I try to tell everybody, I'm not the star of the band, I'm the founder of the band. I mean, it's true. It takes all 3 of us to make the sound that we have. And, so a lot of people, the Eddie T band, what are you, the star? No, I'm the founder of the band, and I try to tell people, on great nights, it's great to be Eddie T, but then on the bad nights, guess whose name is on the marquee, so.
Well, that's what Bon Jovi tried to tell the band. We'll just do this for about 5 years as Bon Jovi, and then if everything, doesn't work out, we'll change the name of the band. Sure, no problem. No, that was a skit on SNL, but that's funny. You know what you made me think of when you're talking about Jack and Diane, that drum solo in the middle. When you figured it out, it sounds to me, to the untrained ear, that it's both sticks. You take both sticks and just kind of run through your drum tick. Boom, 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 boom.
You're doing triplets on the hi-hat while you're going around toms. That's what made it so difficult for my cousin, was he wasn't hearing the triplets on the hi-hat. So, and I remember I didn't know what a hi-hat was. I'd be riding around in the car with my older sister, and Shattered came on by the Stones. And they got that part in the song, towards the end, dude. And Charlie Watts does that little sweep in there. And I remember going, what is that? And then finally I discovered what it was. And my mom ordered me a $35 hi-hat out of the JCPenney catalog, and I worship that thing.
Go, Mom. And, it's nice that you had parents and family that supported you as you were trying to find your way through life. That's what moms and dads and even uncles and cousins need to do, is to let the kids have all the tools that they want in their tool belt. If that kid says he wants to go dig in the dirt and find some rocks, go do it. If he wants to play flute, yeah, it's great. Sounds great. Let's do it. Let me get you a flute if I have the means, of course.
My parents must have been super patient, because we'd be downstairs, in my teenage band, we were doing stuff like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Dio and all this heavy stuff. And me and my dad were polar opposites. He was a greaser from the 50s, strict General Motors guy. And, we're downstairs just shaking the rafters, and he's sitting up in the living room, and you're expecting him to just rip your head off when you come upstairs, and he'd just look at me and go, oh, you guys are sounding pretty good. So that was the kind of support that I got. Was my parents were total opposites. I mean, I grew up on country because my mom listened to Loretta Lynn and Joe Stampley and Mo Bandy and Johnny Paycheck and Tammy Smith and Sammy Smith, sorry. And, so I grew up on all that. And then I got two older sisters, and they, hey, little brother, here's the Aerosmith Rocks album, and here's the Kiss Alive album, and here's Boston and Foreigner. So I got exposed to, a wealth of different drummers, guitar players, singers, and that really influenced my writing, whether it be rock or whether it be country. And the country thing was just an experiment. I heard Trace Adkins on the radio one day, and I just was in my tracks. I'm like, man, that guy's just talking. He's not singing. He's just talking. I can do that. So I recorded 3 songs, went out and seen a guy in Los Angeles, and they were like, hey, you need to come to Nashville and be a demo singer down in Nashville. And I'm just like, it was just an experiment to see if I could do it, because I thought, well, Trace Adkins is just talking. I can do that. But then I found I had a niche for singing lower, so it all kind of worked out. So now I'm really digging doing country.
Yeah, you got a good speaking voice. Dylan talked through it. Was it Tom Petty? He pretty much talked through it as well. So a lot of famous people have come through. As long as you got good lyrics, good beat, you're presenting a good product to the people. And I'm thinking of Michigan. Now you got me thinking of Michigan tourism and all the things that I know about Michigan. And Kid Rock just seems to come to mind because, of course, he has it in his song where he says he's in Michigan. And then, of course, the cars, the cars that came out of Michigan, that's your dad right there. So you say your dad was a car man.
Right. Yeah. Well, my dad did 30 years at GM Parts Division, and my mom did 30 years at AC Spark Plug. And so we've been a strict, General Motors gave me a great childhood. Yeah, I mean, the Kid Rock thing, we got so many good musicians that have come out. I mean, look at Detroit. You got the usual suspects. You got Ted Nugent, you got Bob Seger, you got Eminem, you got the MC5, and then, of course, right out of my hometown area was another 3-piece band with a drummer lead singer, Grand Funk Railroad. So when we came out with me playing the drums and lead singing, we thought, man, we're going to be the next Grand Funk, because we were a 3-piece band. Donnie Brewer sang on American Band. He sang the lead vocals, playing the drums. And so we thought we were, emulating them. But we were doing country. So it was, you don't want to put yourself in a box, but you kind of have to, because I've seen people make the mistake. Like, I went to music conventions in Los Angeles, and some girl would show up. She's got a CD, and she's like, hey, check my stuff out. The first song's a rock song. The second song's an R&B song. The third song's a rap song. And the fifth song's rock, And I goes, well, why did you do that? She goes, well, I want to show record companies that I'm versatile. And then she was really disappointed when the record company said, well, what are you?
Yeah, there can only be like one Taylor Swift, one, so there's only room for so many that can diversify, that can cross lines. I know movie actors try to cross from, TV and movies and things like that. But, it gets tough, man. I don't want to put you in a box. If you want to sing rock, you can sing rock. If you want to sing country, you could sing country. But you find that with a record company and with the discerning fan, that's difficult.
Right. And the thing of it is diversify after you become a success. Okay, well, I've succeeded at being a country artist, but I'd like to, that's what Taylor did. I made country records, and now I want to try pop. And she proved she could be a success at both. Yeah. But diversify after you've become a success. When you're an up-and-coming artist, they need to know what you are. They need to know, what, I mean, me and the record label joke around all the time. They tell me, well, they may call you country because you live in Michigan, but you're a Southern rock band. And because we have rock roots, and a lot of our music sounds like a Skinner record or or a Molly Hatchet record, or, Marshall Tucker or something like that. But that's where we come from. I got all these different influences. So, and the guys in the band, I mean, the drummer's a straight up rock drummer, and my guitar player can play you everything from 50s to now. So, it's just all kinds of different influence.
Yeah, as you come through school, you get trained in different. The teacher, if they're a good music teacher, they're going to teach you different styles. You're going to go from classical music all the way through, all the way through the gambit to try to, once again, giving you the tools so you can get through your life. But yeah, you're giving the people gems. You're giving the kids out there that are just starting off some gems. You got to make it. You got to have a product that can be packaged, especially if you're going to go with another record label, with somebody who's going to be helping you to manage your career. If you're doing independent, that's one thing. You can try different styles and throw it out there on YouTube or SoundCloud or what have you. But when you're working with somebody and they're trying to package you, you're right, man. You do have to go down one road. And then when you're Bon Jovi, once again, when you're Bon Jovi and you're a rock star, then after you've made it, you can go do country. Darius Rucker, he's a pop star. Yeah, go ahead.
Look what Bon Jovi did. That's why he's my mentor. I mean, he's my hero. Look at what he did, though. He catered to his audience. That's the thing that frustrates me. And I've ruffled feathers before in interviews saying this, but it bugs me when it's like you're seeing videos of people who are like, here, let us get you this many followers and let us get you this many streams and blah, 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 blah. And it's like Bon Jovi said. He goes, it's a shame that the Elton Johns that are playing down the street and the Billy Joels that are at the club down the road aren't going to have a chance to sell 24 million records, because now it's a business model before there's any talent. I wish they would bring A&R people back, because A&R people are the ones that weed everything out. We have to go, and I know that's harsh to say, but I would rather an A&R guy come up to me and tell me, you're not ready yet. You're going to have to go back and woodshed that demo before I take it to my boss and risk my job. Now it's, let me surf through 50 videos of someone who just learned how to play guitar, and now there's CDs for sale on Spotify.
Yeah.
And it bugs me that you get, a sexy girl in a video and it gets 1 million views. And right underneath it is a video that a band poured their heart and soul and their bank account in with 5 digital cameras and 4K production, and it gets 2,000 views because there isn't a half-naked girl in it.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, and it's like, I wish they would bring A&R back, because there ain't going to be any legends anymore. Justin Bieber was discovered on YouTube, and I'm sure a lot of people, I know there's so many YouTube stars out there, and I don't mean to diminish it, because right now, in the contrast, this is the greatest time ever to be in the business as an independent artist, because YouTube is your MTV. We would have killed to have this 30 years ago. YouTube is your MTV. Spotify is your distribution. You can boom, make a record tomorrow and have it out for sale with a video followed up and all this stuff. But it's showing musicians how the business side of it is run. But there's even another side of the business on top of that you have to learn once you get on a bigger level with a label and stuff like that. So any young artists out there, identify who you are, be who you are, and package what you are, because labels want it ready to go. They want it to go right from them right onto the store shelves or the digital market or whatever. Developing people is slim to none right now.
Eddie T, preach on, man. You are telling it like it is. The people, all right, the kids, they think, if they have a microphone and a computer in front of them, then whatever they spit out. If they want to be a hip hop DJ or a rapper, they can rap into that computer, record it on some software, put it right on SoundCloud, and try to sell it. But man, you got to take your time. Here you are, you're doing this podcast from your studio. You must spend a lot of time in that studio. I could tell it's probably part of your house, but you have dedicated this area as a place that you can create music and you can perfect that music. It's not something that you're going to do it one time, one take, send it out to the world. If it's crap, whatever. I'll make something else tomorrow. You are taking your time to make something right. And that's what the record companies are wanting. Yeah.
Well, it's like when Bon Jovi made the comparison of them to Metallica. Richie Sambora said, it's not that our music's any better and it's not that their music's any better. He goes, they are a little faster. And I like how he said it. He goes, we just take a longer look at our music. And that brings up another point. What I just said, I don't want to diminish an independent artist who's out there. Learn your craft. The reason I have my own recording studio is because in 1988, I went to the Detroit Institute of Recording and got a discount. My rock band got a discount of $65 an hour if we drove an hour south to Detroit and recorded after midnight. And then I wanted a certain drum sound, and the engineer said, well, I can trigger that. So he starts to trigger the sound, but it'll be $30 to use the drum machine. And I thought, you know what? I'm never going through this again. And I learned. I hung around different engineers. I asked questions. I studied every article in Recording Magazine, and I told and every record that I've made since then, I've made myself. It hasn't cost me a dime. And I've won the Entertainer of the Year award for the Josie Awards. I won the Fans Choice Award, and I won a Radio Station Duo of the Year award. So, and I was a composer for Studio 51, which is Harpo Productions. I was a library composer for them. So getting verification from Oprah's company tells me that my audio tracks are decent enough to send out. But yeah, I don't want to ever diminish the fact of if you want to do it yourself, if you're a musician who wants, you can do it yourself. But just before the podcast, I just got done with a session. I was producing a singer-songwriter who couldn't get live drums done. So there's still a need for a studio because you can program drums all day long in your living room with a laptop and a single condenser mic and acoustic guitar. But every now and then you want that live drum sound and you're going to have to go to a studio to get it. And that's exactly what happened tonight. I had a singer-songwriter who come in and had the tracks and we put the live drums to it and we just got done mixing before the show. So, I'm producing other artists, but it also leaves me the freedom to me and the band come in here at any time we want. We don't have to book a session in Nashville. We don't have to fight, and pay these big dollars, but we also put the work in to learning how to record professionally. Because there's recording for your phone and there's recording for radio. So these are things that you have to learn as a young artist, and hopefully you will as you continue to record and especially record at bigger studios. You'll see what they're talking about.
Yeah, once again, Eddie T, you're teaching the people. You're telling people it's not a one-time thing. It's not a drop of the hat. It's a craft that you have to learn, just like trying to become anything in life. You want to be a CEO of anything. You have to go to school. You have to learn. You have to train. And what you've done is you've trained yourself from a young lad. Back in '86, I said, you know what? I want to try this radio. I was always the DJ in high school, playing at different house parties and stuff. But I said, let me try that radio class over there in Broward County, and let me go to try that. And I learned about microphones, and I learned about reel to reel. I know how to splice, and I learned different pieces of the craft and how to work a mixing board. And it sounds like you did the same thing, man. You went to a studio, You saw the studio. Yes, you had to pay a little bit, but people have to pay for school. And so you didn't waste that money. You got some information. You got some knowledge. Yeah, you got a few tracks out of it and a little idea of how the recording business is. And then you took that knowledge and you made your own recording studio. And that, man, that, my friend, is enterprising.
Right. I belonged to an A&R company for a long time. And every year they had a convention at the end of the year in Los Angeles. And what they would do is they would cram all these A&R people from all these different labels, film and TV and, record companies, singer-songwriter, movie, TV placement. And you had 4 days to you went out there with all your CDs loaded and your business cards and, and you're schmoozing people but I would go to the panels and they would say, they would have a giant PA system set up and then they have all these record company people on a panel and they would just randomly play demos. So all of us would throw our demos in the box hoping that they would randomly play it. And they wouldn't mention the name of the people or anything like that. The artists, they would just play the song and then they would give their critique of it. And man, it was just a world of information. It's like I learned what equipment that the girl from DreamStar, DreamWorks Pictures, she's like, oh, screw auto-tune. I'll just throw it in Melodyne and call it a day. And so I'm walking out of the convention going, what is Melodyne? Well, Melodyne is a vocal processor that cleans up your vocals, but doesn't give you that T-Pain effect on your voice. They do it because it manipulates a human track ever so slightly and you don't notice it. That's why they use it in TV. I would have never known that if I wouldn't have went to the convention. So yeah, and there's so many videos on things and studying things and then there's a lot of things that as a young artist you're not going to learn until you play the clubs. Nothing will teach you more than playing the clubs. And I've gotten to a point now to where I'm finally breaking out of playing the clubs, but we put in a lot of work to get there. But so all I say is do your research. Do your research and it'll all come. And you can have it. Because I love the fact that I was talking to my drummer the other night. He came over and put new heads on the drum kit. He's like, man, we decided we were taking the winter off. We weren't playing. We're going to hide in the studio and record a new album. And we don't have this giant budget that we have to live up to or a time constraint. We just come in whenever we want. So that's the beauty part about it. So yeah, do your research and read up everything you can, watch everything you can, and surround yourself around people who do it for a living, and you'll learn.
It sounds like you chewed a lot of dirt in your years, Eddie T. What's A&R? I don't even know what that stands for. I know what it is, but what is A&R?
Stands for Artists and Repertoire. It was actually the guys that went out to clubs and scoped out the band and then, talked to the band, just like that scene in the movie, That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks. He says, you see that guy over there, that's so-and-so from so-and-so radio, and if he likes what he hears, this will be played tomorrow with 50,000 watts behind it. That's what the A&R guy did. That's why I say they need to come back.
Yeah.
Because you have so many videos and stuff to scroll through on YouTube and Facebook. I'm not trying to discourage it. I'm just saying that we're so saturated. We're saturated with everything. I'm an outlaw country rock artist. There's, 20 of my band standing in line right now. And so you got to stand out. Your music's got to carry. And the A&R guys were the ones that, scoped through all of that and found the Dylans and the Elton Johns and the Billy Joels and took them to the label and put their job on the line for it.
Oh, yeah. I've been working in radio since 86. I had plenty of guys. I guess they were A&R guys. I didn't even know who they were. It was just somebody from the record company would come in and say, hey, I have this new track. Will you play this? And I would take a listen to it in my headphones. Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, especially on college radio. When I was doing college, it was I could play whatever I wanted. And when I was at a mom and pop station, I could play whatever I wanted. Now, here's something that's holding a DJ back on a bigger, man. I worked for mom and pops, which were great. And then I worked for these big giant companies, which may not be so great. I'm happy about the time that I was there, but they limited the creativeness, the ability for me to take an Eddie T record and go, hey, I'll play this. No, I had to go through channels, through bureaucracy. You have to. I miss the days of the DJ was the king, where he had the power to promote whatever he thought sounded great. Bam, slam it on that platter, send it out to the world with 50,000 or 100,000 watts.
Right, that's what Bon Jovi said. He goes, "Who's the loneliest man in show business? The DJ." Because he's sitting in a booth and he's talking and he doesn't know if anybody's listening, and like you said, it's gotten automated. But that's where the message is so confusing, because it's like, oh man, this was great back in the day and this was great back in the day and this is the way that it should be again. But then you turn around and say, but no, now you can make your own recording, you have it distributed, you do a video for it, and and you're learning the business. Because back in the 80s, we were too worried about the girls and the hairspray and who's going to do the Alice in Chains song first, and when we should have been making records. We should have been making records and building it like musicians do nowadays, because the positive side is all the loops that you have to jump through with putting your own codes on your songs and all that crap. This is stuff that you're forced to learn in this day and age that we weren't forced to learn back in the 80s, when we were too busy just being rock stars. We were sitting around the club being rock stars instead of, no, we should figure out, do we need a tax code number? Do we need to have a budget for the band? Do we have a website? Do we have this? Do we have that? The trail of .coms that every artist has to leave, every time they promote themselves. But it's part of the business, and you learn. I'm still adapting. This Skype thing's new to me. I actually got it to work this time.
Yeah.
The last time I tried to do a Skype interview, I screwed it up.
Man, I'm glad you do, because I've been running this podcast for about 2 years, and it was audio for the first year, and then I've discovered that I can do a very similar video version, what they're doing on television. Say one of these news broadcasts or these entertainment shows where you have, one person on one side and then the other person on the other side, and you are right there next to me. As I'm pointing to you, you're right there next to me on the video version. And so, yeah, I had to learn stuff too. I've been out of broadcast school since that. Well, I went back for a refresher in the early 2000s, so I could figure out all the electronic stuff. I knew how to splice. I knew how to work a board. I knew how to work a microphone, plug stuff in. But I didn't know about Cool Edit or Adobe Audition or Pro Tools or any of these HD cameras. You got to keep training yourself, man. It sounds like you train yourself constantly trying to evolve.
It's funny that you mentioned Cool Edit, because believe it or not, that's what we're still recording on.
That's what I'm recording on.
Still recording.
Yeah, your audio will be on Cool Edit. Adobe Audition.
We ain't even running Pro Tools, and we're keeping up with everybody else. And I just think it's great. My studio, I want it to have like a Muscle Shoals feel. It's a small studio. I live out in rural America. There's a great big cornfield right beside the studio. And so I want it to be a small studio with a big sound. And that's why a lot of these artists are coming here, because we're just paying attention to the sound that you're getting. I always tell them, if you want a big studio with a lobby and a secretary, go to Nashville. But, if you want a big drum sound that isn't going to cost you $3,000 to get, come here. And we produce other artists. We help them out. I'll play a drum track for somebody or play a bass track. And you're right. I'm still, I still record into a portable digital interface before I even go to the computer. And some of the bands that come in here, they go, "What are you doing? Your computer ain't even on." I'm like, "We don't need it yet." and it's just old school, and it's a family atmosphere that we have, and we just try to be down to earth with artists instead of this gigantic console and this engineer, looking at his watch. And I've had those days, and so if you come to my studio to record, it's going to take as many takes as it takes to get it, and you're going to relax and enjoy yourself while you're doing it.
Yeah, I still have a Zoom for when I go out in the streets, and you can plug a couple microphones into a Zoom and get a good audio recording. So yeah, I still have that, and I can see. I know that there's a lot of musicians that use that at least for their demos. If they wanted to just plug into the Zoom into their system as they're playing live, at least they'll have a live recording of whatever they were playing, a good audio recording. I mean, are you using a Zoom or what kind of a digital?
We're using a Tascam 2488 and a Tascam 32 D32. They would be considered Porta studios by some people, but what we ended up doing is we hooked up a 32 channel board to match it, and then we record all the entire recording session into the box, and then we send it into the computer. And then that way, because we all know that the computers crash once in a while, them plugins are heavy, and if it crashes and we lose something, at least I know it's still in the box and we can just send it back in. So, and a lot of the bands are digging it now because they're like, wow, you got 2 safety features going on here.
You better believe it, man. Redundancy. I'm using a Rode mixer that has an onboard recorder. Bam, I hit that button. And then I have the Adobe Audition, which was Cool Edit. That's recording the audio. And then I have XSplit doing the video version, but there's also an audio backup on that. So yeah, always have redundancy, man. That's the key to success.
And you were running the same system, because I'm running the Behringer 3242 board with a 2488 Tascam, and then running Cool Edit Pro.
Man, that's amazing.
And then we're mastering. Yeah, we're mastering with T-Rex and the Ozone 4.
See, I don't know what that is. What is a T-Rex? I remember the band.
T-Rex is a tube compressor for mastering. You should get one.
I don't have the skill that you have for mastering stuff. When my idea of mastering is to raise the levels and compress everything and get the audio perfect. So that's my mastering. And then for the audio version, I'll probably take out the spaces. And with Adobe Audition, I just found out like less than 2 months ago that I did not have to go through all of it and take out the breaths. There's an automatic. Let me see on the edit version. If you go down edit, there's a place to delete the silence. I can delete the silence, man. So there won't be any long lulls. It'll sound better. Oh my goodness, I'm learning.
I can switch from. I got Adobe and Cool Edit. And it's pretty cool because you pick which format you want to open the project in. I don't use Adobe much, but I got it on here. But I just love Cool Edit. It's pretty user friendly.
Yeah, that's the same thing though. Didn't Adobe buy Cool Edit, or you have an older version?
Yeah. Well, that's what I try to tell everybody. They're like, well, you should bump up the Pro Tools and do this and that. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I said, but it's still the same bit rate. Yeah, but it's 32-bit, 64-bit. And I'm like, yeah, and you still have to reduce it down to 2-track, 16-bit CD quality for radio.
That's true. That's true. It'll be like 128 or 192 kilobytes or whatever it is to make it sound okay for radio.
44.1, right?
44.1.
So. Right.
Oh man, you're giving us gems. We're
listen to us stackheads here.
I know. I'm an old man. I'm 51 years old, man. Class of '86, and I know how to splice, man. Like I said, I do reel to reel. And in fact,
I started on the Fostex 4-track.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again. I think I walked on you.
I started on Fostex 4-track.
Okay, what is that, man? What's a Fostex 4-track? Maybe you're older than I am.
Ask a lot of the musicians out there will know. A Fostex 4-track was a 4-track recorder that used cassette tape, and you would record 1 through 3 and then bounce 1 to 3 to 4.
Okay, I think I'm getting the concept. I did cart machines. I did use cart machines back in the when I was first starting on radio. In fact, there's an old station in Coral Gables, Florida, right outside of Miami, and it still used cart machines, like in 2005. And I said, "What are you doing, man? You know we're on computers now, right?"
Right.
Oh,
but yeah, you should see our pawn shops. They're full of outboard compressor. I might go buy some. The rack mountable compressors and the ADAT machines.
Man, I mean, what do you think of all that making the sounds? Hey, can you emulate that on computer? Can you really emulate that on computer? Or do you feel like the warmth is still on analog?
I told the guys I would like to get an old ADAT machine so we could dump our final mix to it and then burn the CDs off of that. Because just to get the tape warmth, I don't think there's a way. SSL's got some pretty good programs that emulate the old boards and stuff, but I think being able to drop tape at least once before the final product give it such a warm sound.
I mean, Neil Young is still going around making actual vinyl records. Have you put any of your stuff on vinyl records recently or ever?
We haven't, only because our budget hasn't allowed us to, but we definitely want to.
Yeah, I remember turn of the century was making your own CDs. Go ahead.
Colors.
I'm sorry, say it again. I blocked on you again.
No, I've seen bands that have had them for sale in 4 different colors. I was envious. I just ain't got the budget for it right now. But we definitely will be having some stuff come out on vinyl soon, hopefully.
Yeah, one of the memes that I put on social media today was, what was the first record you bought at a record store? And I'm thinking back, I'm going, my goodness, a record store. How I miss going. And I was a member of the KISS Army, and KISS was great at marketing. They would give you 4 different albums with 4 different faces, and you had to get all 4 of those albums to get the jigsaw puzzle of a poster that you could hang in your room. And oh my goodness, I remember that. But nobody's getting records anymore, man. There's very few. I guess what would they call it? Some people are going back and getting records and discovering the warmth of a record. But still, digital, it's easier. Me, when I'm DJing, I have controllers, CD mixers that will control the records. So I still have that ability to mix and scratch and do all the stuff I used to do with my techniques. But I haven't bought a record. I really haven't. I haven't bought a record in a long time.
I was happy to see, I read an article where they were saying that kids were coming back to buying CDs. And the reason I say I'm happy about that is because I don't know if you remember back in like 1988, 89, depending on where you're from.
Miami.
But, here in Michigan, we went through a period of the cars having AM stereo. And it was a button on a console, and it was an AM stereo. It tried to make AM sound as clear and as FM. And we had a few AM stereo stations that were in the area, and it reminded the whole flash drive thing. So you got to understand, I want everybody out there to know, I made the biggest mistake you could ever make. I stood in front of Derek Sivers, the president of CD Baby, at a convention in 2007. And I told him to his face, I don't think online music is going to take off.
we all had a mistake like that. I'm sure that at one time or another, there was an artist that was in front of me. Maybe he was just starting off. And it made me realize, when I was in my early 20s, it made me realize, give everybody a chance. Give them a chance. Because that could be Pitbull right in front of you. Yes, I knew Pitbull when he first started. And he was okay. He was good. He knew how to get the crowd going. But I was like, he's all right. He's okay. And now Mr. Worldwide. He went from 305, where I was living in Miami, to Mr. Worldwide. And here, Me, I'm admitting it for the first time here that I said, Armando, he's all right. He's okay.
well, it reminded me of the flash drive thing. Okay, car makers making cars without CD players anymore, just a port for your thumb drive.
Right.
I really don't think that catches on with people. I mean, man, I used to lose CDs. I couldn't imagine trying to hold on to this flash drive. And you don't get a book, you don't get no artwork, you don't get anything like that unless you put it in the computer and look it up. And, so it made me feel good to hear that, kids are reverting back to CDs a little bit. And and a lot of kids are taking notice in the older music and the vinyl and even the stores are trying to sell the record players right underneath the records. And so I give them credit for trying to bring it back because, it was the greatest time.
Man,
me being 18 years old in 1988, when you're 18 and Wanted Dead or Alive is number one on the radio for real.
Yeah.
That was the best time ever.
Yeah.
And I just wish that some of these kids could experience what it's like to wait for an artist, to have anticipation, to the suspense. Nobody does intros anymore at their shows. It's just, hi, we're the band. We're going to play for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
Bring the show back. Bring the waiting for the record to drop back instead of it being leaked 2 weeks early. And it's just a shame because we're saturated with stuff. So it's the best time to be an artist, and it's the worst time to be an artist, especially if you're old school.
Well, I'm getting where you're at, Eddie T. I mean, I'm class of '86. You're class of '88, and so I'm getting that we're in the same area. Metallica was just starting out back then, and there was some great music coming out. I still think the '80s were the best, man, because for showmanship, MTV was still going strong at that time. They were actually playing music videos, so you not only had the audio, but you also had to become visual. I mean, that's when everything changed from in the 70s. All you had to do was be a great band. And you mentioned, we're an American band. Here I am in Conway, Arkansas, just north of Little Rock. And when you said we're an American band, I said, man, that song mentions Little Rock. And I know I play it often. I said, I like any song that mentions Little Rock. And it gets the crowd going. But you say you were a club DJ, or you still do some clubs. I know that when the best club DJ, the best club bands, when they go through the clubs, they do an intro. They'll set up their stuff. They'll start playing before they even say a word. They just start playing. Sometimes it'll be the basses. Dong, da ding dong, bam, bing, bam, bam, ba ding dong. And then you'll hear a drum, and then you'll hear a lead guitar. They won't even say a word. Those are my favorite shows, man. A little intro. Right.
I mean, give them something, to come see instead of, especially in country, you don't get much of that. We had a guy do our intro tape for us, and we opened for Rodney Atkins. And, talk about having cojones. Our intro tape was, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm like, who does that? Who opens for Rodney Atkins and your intro tape says, this is the moment you've all been waiting for.
That's right.
But it made us stand out, and even Rodney got a kick out of it. He told us after the show, he was like, I dig the intro. That was cool.
Well, he took the time.
So
you took the time. Okay, now I'm understanding what an intro is. I thought maybe when you got on stage, you start playing just some music before you got on, but you actually hired a voiceover guy to go ahead and give you a good bring you up on stage
like that. I mean, back in the 80s, we used to have really dramatic keys. There's fog rolling on the stage, and there was just this anticipation. And nowadays, especially in country, nowadays you get bands that come up. Hi, we're Johnny and the Boys, and we're going to be kicking some country for you. Here we go. When it'd be really cool to have like ominous low note playing with the fog rolling on the stage, and then you kick into The Dance by Garth Brooks. Yeah. That makes the people in the bar go, oh, So our band, what makes our band tight is we pay specific attention to the way we open a song and the way we close it. We pay attention to the dynamics. The dynamics are what catch people's attention. You don't want a band playing and then the song ends and they just go, we got specific tight endings. We want the audience to go, wow, these guys really did their homework to make it sound tight.
Yeah, you realize when you're in a club, maybe they're not there to see the band. Maybe they're there to have a couple drinks. Maybe they're there to play some pool. Maybe they're going to play some shuffleboard in the back. It is tough to get their attention. Eddie T, when people come to see an Eddie T band show, they're going to get a little extra, a little something to get their attention. And that's what you're doing. You say you roll some fog in, put some lights in their face, give them a nice low tone, something to let them know, hey, something's happening.
Yeah, we got scaffolding that we bring and everything. And I remember one gig I did in Grand Rapids, and I forgot. We just were tired. We didn't want to bring the scaffold. And we thought, the club owner ain't going to care. We'll just put up some lights and we'll just take it easy. And oh no, man, I got my butt reamed by the bar owner. He's like, whoa, where's that stage that, you brought in last time? So I learned my lesson on that. And on the nights when you're packing it up and you're tired because it's extra gear. I mean, it's a lot of extra gear, scaffolding and curtains. But at the end of the night, was it worth it? Hell yeah, it was worth it. You know what I mean? Because the crowd walked in and went, whoa, it looks like an arena here. And then we're only 3 guys and we're using vocal processors and guitar processors, and my guitar player's playing piano parts that sound like a piano, coming out of his guitar, and saxophone parts, and we're 3 guys. And people are like, wow, you're 3 guys, sound like 6 people. But we're 3 pieces have to work extra hard. And so we do what we have to do to get the job done. But it seems to get the job done.
Man, Eddie T, it sounds like you have attention to detail. You want to put on a show. I mean, as through the years, me putting on my shows, I definitely don't. Man, I don't know how to put a small show on anymore. I know how to put maybe a medium show, but I always have to have my lights up. I mean, unless it's a low key event where the customer has specifically said, "Hey, all I want is some background music," But I still will set up all my lights. I won't turn them on. I will still set up my speakers with the nice sheeting over it, so it's not ugly. Make it look beautiful. Maybe I'll put the lights under there, but I won't turn them on because you never know. That customer might say, "Hey, let's pump it up a little bit." Bam! I'll put a few lights up. Give them something to see, something to do.
Yeah, because you feel like you're chinsing them out.
Yeah.
Like when you have the gear and you don't use it, it's like I feel like I should be doing more.
Yeah.
There's been nights where the guys are like, "Man, do we really need to bring all this crap?" And then when we get it set up and we do sound check and the crowd's into it, our owner's happy, and because once again it brings us back to teaching young artists. You're going to find bar owners that want it done this way. I mean, we had a bar that we started at 9:00 and we were off the stage at 9:40, and the people were dancing from 9:40 to 10:00, and we were back on stage from 10:00 to 10:40. And that's 5 sets of doing that all night long. And so you want to be prepared, like you said. When I got the board, do you really need 32 channels? No, but it looks cool, and they're there if I need them. You know what I mean? So I wanted a studio. I wanted the atmosphere. I can't be one of them people that, brings my laptop into the living room. I mean, if I was doing a writing session with somebody, that's different. But if I was going to say, "Hey, I'm recording this acoustic track for my record," I'm just not that type of guy. And it can be done. And I've heard it done really, really well. I just need the studio atmosphere. That's just me personally. There's nothing wrong with recording in your living room with a laptop. But I'm also one of them songwriters too. I can't say, "Hey, me and you are going to go write a song Wednesday at 4:00.
Okay.
I can't do that.
All right. There's two schools of thinking on that. Sometimes you do have to, because you are sacrificing a lot of your family life. I saw some people walking around back there. I'm guessing that's your family, or some people that want to spend time with you, that want some of the Eddie T time that you're spending in the studio. But by the same token, you have an office, you have a place, you've set up an atmosphere, you've set up, you could write a song at the kitchen table, but it's so much better if you're writing and you have that 32 channel key mixing board sitting next to you. And I was going to ask you about that, because I've seen some that are just ridiculously long mixing boards that are thousands and thousands of dollars. And I know I've only ever used maybe 16 of those channels ever, but I was wondering how many of those channels you actually have plugged in.
We just did a session, and I think I maybe used 9, maybe, and that's because we used 5 on the drum kit. So yeah, like I said, I don't need them, and this is actually scaled down. We just pulled the mammoth board out of here because it was short out, and we got this smaller version, and they're making everything so compact now and where you can really utilize it. But I'm old school too, so I built the console for the boards because I just wanted that studio atmosphere. Some people don't need that, and that's great. I like to be in the studio. And I mean, it just goes to show you, I just got married 2 weeks ago. I got back from my honeymoon, and I got 3 artists that have been waiting for me to get back from my honeymoon. So, here I am back in the studio a week after getting back, and it's a full-time job, and I love it. It's the greatest job in the world.
Well, mazel tov, Eddie T. Congratulations, man. May the honeymoon never end. Keep it going forever and ever. That's beautiful. It's nice to have somebody in your corner backing you up. And she's good with all this music stuff, I'm guessing.
Well, she's my acting manager, as a matter of fact, and she books all the stuff, and she's making the arrangements and the flyers and the posts on Facebook and doing all the stuff that frees me up to be in here. So
that's a good team you got going. Yeah, it's a good team you got going there. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's good to have somebody in your corner. All right, you said that I know I'm taking a lot of your time, but you said you're breaking out of.
Oh no, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, you're breaking out of clubs. I mean, you started in clubs back in '88 when you were doing your rock band. So you were doing clubs all the way since then. And when did you start writing the music? Was that recent, or was that something that you did back in school, dabbled in it, and then really got into it recently, or what have you?
I probably didn't get serious into writing until probably 88, 89 when I started playing. And I mean, I was playing drums for a small band, and we were doing a hall show, and we have 2 venues that are legendary. One was called Cano's. It's closed now. And then we have, you might have heard of it, it's called the legendary Machine Shop in Flint. And Cano's was a lot like the Machine Shop back in the 80s. And here I was, this 17-year-old kid playing drums at a hall show, and these guys walk in and they're like, "Do you want a job playing drums for us?" And they happened to be one of the biggest Class A club bands that was. I wasn't even old enough to step into Cano's, and here I got the top band asking me to be their drummer. They're all in their 30s. They're asking me to be their drummer, and next thing I know, I went from. I mean, it happened to me pretty fast. I went from playing small little Masonic temple halls to being in the biggest club in the area with the biggest band and packed houses. And it was really a hefty school of hard knocks, learning really fast how to play with these experienced players. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it evolved for me.
Dang. And then you were writing music back then. Did you write for that band, or
Right.
were you writing for yourself?
Yeah, I started. I was primarily playing drums, and then I started dabbling in writing as the more and more I got, the more and more years. I was with that band for 10 years. So I was with these older guys for 10 years. So I really got a wealth of how to write a song, how to structure a verse, a bridge, a chorus. And then right around, I don't know, 2007, I started going out to the conventions and learning how to craft a song. And so, yeah, I would say right around 2000 was when I started really becoming serious about writing songs. As a matter of fact, we're debuting a music video on 9/11. The song is about the events of 9/11. It's called Reflection. And that was one of the first songs that I had written. It was right after 9/11 had happened, and I wrote it. I mean, right after it happened, it just came out. And it's a duet that I did with Sophie Noelle, a girl artist I was working with in Florida. And we just finished the music video, and it'll premiere on September 11th. So
it's taken all these years since.
I wanted to stress that point because that was one of the first songs that I wrote when I started becoming a songwriter, and it's kind of taken 20 years for it to evolve. And so that's kind of a little history on my songwriting.
Yeah, sometimes it does take that long, but I'm glad that it's finally coming out. But the song itself, you had already recorded and put out there, or this is something that you?
Well, actually, me and Sophie recorded it about a year and a half ago, and it's been released. It's on the album. So if anybody goes to you can pick up our album at theedditband.com.
Yeah.
And that song is on there. So if they get a chance this weekend, coming up, the anniversary of 9/11, get a chance to see the video. If you like the song, go to the site, check it out, and get the record.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to find you. I looked up Eddie T Band. I Googled Eddie T Band, and certainly you've branded it very well. You come out on all the social medias, but certainly the place to go is the EddieTBand.com to find all about you.
Right. I mean, you can find us on Instagram at the Eddie T Band, on Twitter, on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel too. So
now, and now what we should be doing.
Nashville Entertainment Weekly Records. You can find us. That's our label. You can find us on their page.
Man, I'm just getting familiar with the Nashville Entertainment Weekly people. They're so cool, man. TJ Cates and Jill Santabanez. Right. I'm saying it the Spanish way because I had her on this show, she said, you can also say it Santabanez. And I went, yeah, I'm going to say it like that from now on because I'm from Miami. I know Spanish. But
right.
They're some cool folks, man.
Yeah, they're great. I've been with them 3 years, and they're awesome people. This was my first record deal, and for my first record deal, you couldn't ask for a better record deal.
That's
because
cool.
There's no, cheating and money grabbing and none of that. They're good people that want to see you succeed.
Yeah, and what I like is I like to hear that.
I got some reassurance. I met Erlene Mandrell at the CMA Fest, and I asked her. I says, should I do this or should I do that? She says, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm with Nashville Entertainment Weekly Records, and she looked right at me. She goes, oh, TJ and Jill, I love them. You just stay right where you're at, honey. And I was like, all right, that's all the certification I need to know. But yeah, TJ and Jill are great. They've taken care of us for the last 3 years.
That's a good review, man. That's a good review.
Yeah, they've done everything they said they were going to do. They've got me on the radio and got me exposure all over the world, and I couldn't think of enough.
Wicked cool. All right, well, it sounds like you're as we get older and wiser and learn a few things, it's time to help the next generation. You've had some people in your studio. You can give shout out to them if you can. You don't have to, but if you want to talk about the people that you're helping come up through this business.
Oh, sure, absolutely. A guy I'm producing right now. Keep an eye out for him. His name is James Ashley. He's sounds a lot like Luke Combs. He's a mixture between Luke Combs and Marshall Tucker. So a really cool thing. I'm producing another band called Fire Creek. They actually have a couple singles out on Spotify right now. You can look them up. It's Fire Creek with a K, FireKreeka. So check them out. They're on Spotify and all your outlets. And I had a number one single on a, I believe it was a London chart with artist I produced, Sonny Thurnall. He's got a lot of good stuff out there. I'm continuing to work with him. I was going to do some stuff with Brenda McCready, but with travel restrictions and stuff, she ended up going down to Nashville and getting her stuff done. But that would have been fun to work with.
Yeah, I've known Brenda for a long time, man. She's like right down the street here in Arkansas.
Yeah, right. Cool. We might still produce a sing. Her and Sonny were talking about doing a duet called Defenseless, and that might end up being done here, but we don't know yet. But so you can check those artists out. I know there's more. I got a ton more, but I can't think of them right off the top of my head. So any of these artists have been in here and I missed you, I'm sorry. So.
Yeah, I'm sure that anyone listening to this, hey, we're just off the cuff. We're not looking anything up. We're just having a conversation. And right. Rock on, man. So Eddie T, man, what's on the horizon? What's coming up in the near future and the distant future for the Eddie T and the Eddie T band?
I'm just looking forward to do a new album. We just, with the pandemic and everything, we just released our album just before the pandemic. So it was kind of horrible timing. And to make matters worse, we've been sitting on this record for 2 years. There's 14 songs on the record, and before the record was released, 8 of them were already on radio. So that goes to show you how long it's taken us. So we were playing so much though, that just getting the record released was hard because we own our own studio. So there's the catch to the whole thing. Okay, if you have a studio do it for you, it'll get done. But if you're doing it yourself, then you got time to procrastinate and shows get in the way and life gets in the way. But on that note, we're really looking forward to taking the winter off. No shows. We did 3 shows this year.
Yeah.
And no shows. Now we can just hunker down for the winter and just be in the studio, and hopefully come summer we come out rolling with a new masterpiece, and we'll be dropping singles. Well, I know we will. I can never wait on anything. If I get a good song, I can sit on it for 6 months. Jill even said that one time. She's like, well, I recommend that you do this, but you're going to do what you want to do anyway, so just do it,
Well, Eddie
but I get anxious. I get sitting on a good song, and I want to release it. So, but I need to take her advice and give it time to simmer.
Well, that's what it is, man. You're living in this era between the analog, when you used to have records and you had to produce a whole album, and then this time now where it's digital and everybody wants it right now, do it right now, got to have it, bigger, better, faster, more. But you got to find that balance somewhere in the middle where you can get the record right, get that song right. I mean, it amazes me, anyone like yourself that puts something to paper, plays a little riff on a guitar or just thinks about a melody and then arranges it and puts it all together, and it comes out as something inspirational, man. It's baffled me because I've never done it, and being someone who loves music, who loves listening to music, who has made a living playing music and building up people's careers playing music, but I've never been able to do it on my own, man. It baffles me that you can do that, take those pieces
It
and
is.
make a song.
It is the coolest feeling. It is the coolest feeling in the world. I mean, sometimes it can be a curse because you're walking around all day long with melody in your head, or and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it is truly a blessing to be able to, complete a thought. That's what I always say every time I finish a new song. Well, I completed a thought today, so I feel better. Because they're like your kids. Well, for example, me and Sophie did the first duet we did together. We won Duo of the Year on a radio station. The funny thing was, we were friends with the people at that station. We asked them to debut it. They did. And Sophie was 17 at the time. She recorded her tracks in Florida and sent them to me. I sent her the rhythm. It was a cross-country collaborative. I sent the rhythm tracks to her. She recorded her vocals, sent them back to me. We mixed it. We even shot a video. She shot her video. This new video coming out, her footage was filmed in Florida. Mine was filmed here in Michigan.
Wow.
And so we're used to working that way. But when the song came out, people were in the chat room, and they were just reaming her. They were like, you guys are out of tune. This song needs to be where you worked, blah, 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 blah. Usual cast of suspects. And she's freaking out, 17-year-old girl, well, okay, well, I'll talk to Eddie. And I told her, I said, no. I said, it's fine. I said, they're just mad they didn't write it,
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, the station manager comes up and says, I'm nominating this for Duo of the Year. And then we won. And so I told her, I said, see, not everybody, they don't all know everything, and so it's like, it's just funny the way that people react to stuff. Certain songs people react to with a positive reaction. I didn't think it would fly for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty part about being able to create music, is it is like your kids. You're sending them out into the world, and you don't know what the reaction is going to be. And sometimes I wish I could wake up and not have a lick of musical talent at all. And the musicians don't know what I'm talking about. A true musician has a hard time cracking open a beer and sitting down and just enjoying a song as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Because constantly nitpicking. Oh man, I wonder what guitar he's using. I wonder what guy. I wonder what gauge strings he uses. What amp are they using on this mix? What kind of drum set is that? And we do that, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. It's just something that we do. To be able to just pop in an AC/DC song, Back in Black, and just jam. It's hard because you're like, wow, that's Angus is using a Gibson, whatever, and you're analyzing the song halfway through it instead of just enjoying the music.
Man, you are picking it apart. When I was a firefighter down in Key Largo, and every time I walked into a building, I'm looking for fire exits and fire extinguishers, and it's whatever craft you're in, whatever business you're in, you're looking at how these things came together. And when I started making commercials, and then every time I listen to a commercial, I go, oh, okay, that's how he did that. He wanted to put that inflection into his voice. He added that song there, and that's what you're doing with the songs that are coming out on the radio. You're oh, that's a Les Paul. Oh, he's playing an Ibanez. Check that out.
Right. I mean, I was a maintenance guy for apartment complex for 25 years. I'm HVAC certified.
Uh-huh.
I go on my honeymoon, and I walk in the hotel room, and I'm like, yeah, that AC needs to be charged. Yeah, that fixture on the sink needs to be tightened up. And what's up with that light fixture in the corner? Why don't I have a fire extinguisher? And it's just from 30 years of being in the business,
Yeah. I mean, you've gone through a lot of things here, man. You're teaching the kids. It's not just show. It's business too, man. Because if you don't learn the business part, you're going to get screwed. You're going to get messed up, big time.
Right. You're going to find yourself with a record deal where you're paying thousands of dollars out of your pocket just to be on the label, and then they don't release your record.
No.
So who wants to? I'm not mentioning any names, but who wants to pay thousands of dollars to be on Joe Schmo label?
Yeah.
When they're not doing anything for you, is what I'm saying. We call them, back in the 80s, it was get your publishing. If you signed a record deal, get your publishing, because if you don't, the publisher's the first one to get paid. The royalties, that comes after the managers and the labels and the stage managers and the roadies and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If you're the publisher, if you have your publishing locked in, Nelly just got his publishing.
Yeah.
Think about how long that guy's been around. He just got 100% of his publishing now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, if anything, the way the business is now should teach the artists how to be self-sufficient and teaches the business. Like I said, I wish we would have had ways of knowing this 30 years ago.
Oh, if not, yeah.
You need a code on a song. You need this copyrighted, and you need this, and you need that, and and it's got to be sonically viable for an iPhone, and it's got to be this sonic quality for radio and podcasts, and there's all kinds of things that go with it that you have to learn, and that us older musicians have to learn. And but it's definitely a great thing that the way the industry is now, you have to learn the business. You
do, or you're going to get messed up. You or else you're batting cleanup. You're trying to backtrack, like Taylor Swift is having to record all her stuff again so she can have the masters. And then Prince had to change his whole name to a symbol because he was owned by record companies. So yeah, you got to learn the business, man.
Yeah, Jim Croce and the Doobie Brothers, they, selling 24 million records, and they're broke. How is that? And it's like, you can be smart. If you don't learn the internet side of the music business, you're just playing bars and selling CDs at the club.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the bottom line. And we all want to be on the radio. We all want to be heard. And that is where, if you get a hit song on radio, all the other stuff will follow. Forget about the bus and the roadies and all that crap, because you won't have any of that unless you pay attention. I tell the guys, the more amount of detail we spend in this room, the more payoff it will give us out there. Because it's all about a good song that the people relate to, that they it relates to them, it speaks to them.
Uh-oh. Oh, you bounced out for a second there. But yeah, I heard
it bounce out.
Yeah, what was I reading just recently? Was it Frampton? Somebody was saying something about don't expect Spotify to pay you millions, man, because from what I understand, one of the songs, I know I'm only giving you half the story. You'll probably be able to look it up later, but one of the songs got 50 million hits, and he got like $1,100. Yay. So obviously the big company made all the money.
Yeah, well, Desmond Child, I met him. He's Bon Jovi's co-writer.
Oh, okay.
I met him in Los Angeles, and there was just an article put up that said that Living on a Prayer, what was it, like 500 million streams or something like that.
Right.
And Desmond Child got a check for $9,000. That song is over 30 years old. It's legendary. And, Living on a Prayer. And $9,000?
Really?
And it's frustrating.
It has to be.
It's frustrating because, you need a song that's on every single radio station in the United States and just constantly to where you land a tour with a bigger artist.
How are you going to make a living like that, man? How?
I want to sell out Ford Field with Kenny Chesney.
Yeah, you do.
I want to open for Kenny Chesney at Ford Field. You know,
I want Kenny to
that's
open
when
for
you
you,
start
Eddie
bringing
T.
the paychecks.
No, actually,
Huh?
I want Kenny to open for you. No, actually, I want you to be a part of a festival, to where people are coming to see you and to see him. I want you to be
Right.
that big, man. And I
Right.
see nothing but good things. You got a work ethic. You have the studio. You've had the space. You got some good people working for you and with you. And congratulations once again on the wedding, Mazel Tov. Again, man, you married a goodie. She's going to help you to get you to the next level, and I appreciate that for you as well. But I mean, you already let the people know how to get a hold of you online, theeddietband.com, and then find you socially everywhere. But
our studio page is Hometown Hits on Facebook.
Okay.
We're updating the page right now, but if there's any musicians out there that want to reach out as far as whether you come here to do your tracks or you send them to me on the internet, whatever, just get a hold of me on Hometown Hits' page or the EddieTBand.com, and I'll get back with you.
Very good. You have enough space for a band there in that room?
Oh yeah. I'm in the control room, the playroom's out there. So
that's cool. And the gang, man, I appreciate that. And coming from one of the rock cities, one of the rock states in this fine country, right, and then playing country, and I see no limits for you either, man. I see you playing whatever you want, whatever you desire. I mean, you're going to make yourself big in this one genre, and you say it's country, but your voice is so raspy and so it's made for many different kinds of music, man. Your voice is just got that.
There might be a rock record in my future.
I no doubt about it, man. Eddie T Band, ever forward. All right, man. If there's any avenues that you want to explore, I want to give you free time. If you want to talk about anything, specifically, maybe give shout outs to people that have helped you out, or whatever projects. If not, we'll start wrapping this thing up.
Right. Well, I just want to say, big thank you to my record label, to Nashville Entertainment Weekly Records, TJ Cates and Jill Sanfinez, and of course my wife Tracy. She's my manager. She's, as Ozzy would say, behind every great man is a woman with a great left boot. So, but and my promoter Lisa, and all the fans. Actually, the biggest thing is the fans, because they're the people that believe in the lyrics, right? And just like my hero Bon Jovi said, they are Tommy and Gene. They live this life, and that means more to me than the critic.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. Man, that's almost last words for the people. I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. That was almost the thing. But what I want you to do is dig deep, or if you have something that the words to live by, something that you heard a long time ago, or whatever pops up into your head at this moment in time. Eddie T, last words for the people.
Last words for the people. Success is falling 9 times and getting up 10.
Well, there you have it, party people. Eddie T of the Eddie T Band. Yeah, he already said it. It's not all about him. He just happens to be the founding member. So the band is called Eddie T, all right? It's the Eddie T Band. So look it up. Find it everywhere. Find his music everywhere. And if you have the means, support him. Yes, and the band. Support the Eddie T Band. He's not only doing music for himself and for the band, the three of them working together to make some good music. He also has a recording studio, inviting other up and coming artists to come in and record their music, their ideas, helping creators to create more. Yeah. So the children are our future. No, and Eddie T is going to help the people of the future, man. So if you got a project that you want help getting off the ground, give Eddie T a call, man. He's up there in Michigan. So, And you could do it online. The thing he was talking about was he had Sophie down in Florida recording her vocals and doing all kinds of I guess music mixing down in Florida, and then sending it on the way through this fine internet we have. The internet can be used for good. You could corroborate with people all over the world, see, and make good music together, and not just music, but videos too. So she recorded her part down in Florida, and he recorded his part in Michigan, and you're going to get to see that real soon on September 11th. Hey, that's fantastic, man. That song and video seems like it's been a long time coming, and it's nice that you can pay homage, and you can. He has the ability to make an idea into a reality, into a song. If you have an idea in your head, if you have the ability to do that, I encourage you to do so as well. Thank you, Eddie T, for being on the program. What makes you famous? Man, that was a nice conversation. I appreciate that so much. Speaking of conversations, if you, yes, I'm turning my attention to you, if you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.